Well, why don't you climb on into the bottom of the barrel with me? Let's get all cozy and warm by the tire fire. Just don't breathe it in. All your hosts are belong to us today. Let's see. Just a little bit about me. I work 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. Much of it in gig work, but not all of it. I document it and review those numbers so that I can identify the biggest sources of process waste that I see in my own process. And I share that here so that other people might be able to make improvements to their own process. And together we can all make a little bit more money. So I wasn't here yesterday. I wound up taking a day off. Very rarely do I do that, but if I get to a point where I'm driving and feeling like I might fall asleep, that's the end. I need to go home and get myself some good sleep. So yesterday I just took care of that. But here I'm back today, and I'll be back every day this week, most likely. You know what? I didn't, that was before. So, I guess I usually like to have a little something in here that I talk about that I noticed over the previous day. But honestly, I forgot to do that this time, and I'll just tell you, when you work all your waking hours, there are times where you just need to recharge. It's not the end of the world. You gotta keep a balance, and sometimes you just need to take care of yourself. You gotta listen to your body when it's telling you things. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure if you're too tired on the road, you go ahead and call it a day and get some sleep. It's definitely better to be alive for tomorrow than pushing it too far today. That said, let us pop the bunghole on this barrel and see what spills out. Alright, I'll go over this quickly for anybody that might be new here, and if you're watching, you're most likely new because I don't have any views yet on this on any of these videos, but we'll see. You may be the first viewer. Alright, so I track all my deliveries. I write down the specific details about each one, and I track them here. I don't take time to do it while I'm delivering. I wait until there's a moment where an order's not ready, or for some reason I can't move forward with the delivery. I got a couple minutes. I take screenshots of everything and I start putting it down here for later. You can see that I have this first bit is basically the restaurant, the app, when I started. In this case, there was actually 2 different restaurants that I had on stacked order, and I look at the total estimated time and the total wage, per hour I can expect for that duration of estimated time. Here I have different codes that I use for myself where for some reason I'm stopped or something's taking longer. Could be I'm not paying attention, I'm thinking about other stuff and I made a wrong turn and added a few minutes to my trip. Could be that I get to a restaurant and an order's not ready. Those are, if I'm trying to identify waste in my process, those are important to be documenting, because you never really know. You got a feeling sometimes of where your biggest sources of waste are, but unless you're documenting it and taking a look at it, your gut feeling may not always be right, and I've found mine to be wrong plenty of times. So this documentation definitely is good. Parking's an interesting one. That's where I get somewhere, and because I'm not really paying attention to where I'm going or what the situation is like, I get there and I may have passed up 1 or 2 really good parking spots super close, but I've already passed it and I'm on a one-way street or something. So now I got to go all the way around the block just to come back and get a decent parking spot. That's about it. Once I'm done with the delivery, I write down the end time, and then I figure out, how much time did that take me and what was my total wage for that period of time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It all kind of averages out to around $20 an hour no matter what. Sometimes it's a little better, sometimes it's not. Anyways, that's how I track everything. These colors, I'll go over that in a second. Let's see. Here is the overview here. I got, this was yesterday, or I think the day before. 27 orders, 23 are from Uber. Again, it's always given me my bread and butter. As much as I complain about them and all the failed orders they give me. Grubhub gave me 3, DoorDash gave me 1, and that's over a 12-hour period, 11 hours and 42 minutes, from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. roughly. My total time, 11:42. Total mileage was 247. That's going to be different for everybody. My car gets pretty good mileage, but electric cars get better. It really depends on the specific car that you drive. So I don't really pay much attention to mileage in these videos. Total pay was $215. Not great. My per hour was $18. We'll see later why that was. $18 an hour. Gas I paid about $18. I fill up once a day. Sometimes it comes out to more. Sometimes my tank's not empty, but I don't like to stop a million times a day to fill up. So here are the sources of waste from this day. Let's see if we can get it all in one shot. There we go. Total time out, 11:42. Break time. I did not take any breaks yesterday. Or the day before, I guess. Trolling time. That's when I'm driving around waiting for an order. That was 3 hours out of 12. That was 25%. That's a hefty amount. So this is the day before yesterday, or I think the day before yesterday. And yesterday I didn't go out. The day before that, I really made an effort to try and take more orders and have a little less trolling time. Usually I feel like that might be counterproductive, but I found at least that day, the day before yesterday, it actually helped quite a bit, I think. Tomorrow we'll look at those numbers. Total waiting time was about a half an hour. Most of it, again, as usual, is not ready. I have been able to cut that down a little bit by just, if an order is going to be 10 to 15 minutes of waiting, I just cut, anchor, and go to the next one. Without any shame, without feeling bad about it, If the platform is not getting it right, it's within my purview. No, it's within my right to go ahead and unassign that, because I'm not getting paid to wait around for an order. I'm getting paid to pick it up and take it to the customer. So, as long as you keep your cancellations relatively low, you shouldn't have any issues with any of the platforms. Customer, when I'm going to drop it off for whatever reason, doesn't come down right away or changes the delivery method once I'm already there. But that was only 5 minutes out of 12 hours. Wrong turn, again, 5 minutes out of 12 hours. Parking, not paying attention when I get to a restaurant to see where there's good parking, like in downtown, it's 1 minute. So, most of those really don't matter much. Not ready, it was only 20 minutes. Trolling, again, was the biggest hitter. So 3 hours out of 12. Here's the failed orders. They all came from Uber. No. Did they? One of them came from DoorDash. And we'll talk about that one in a second. But total failed order time was 27 minutes. One of them was a map fail, where my map didn't update after I accepted an order, and I wound up going totally the wrong way, towards the direction I was already going, instead of the updated direction. And at that point, I just canceled, because if I were to turn around and go to the restaurant, I would be arriving so late that I would get a violation. Whereas if I unassign right when I realize it, I don't get a violation. I just get an unassigned, a cancel, which, again, I have to keep those limited, but that's better than a violation. And, on most of the apps, you can get a few violations before they kick you off, but I'd rather keep those at zero. This is my income. This is my livelihood. So, I don't want to play with that. One of my orders was... the order wasn't in their system, and they weren't willing to make it. So, as soon as they said that, I just said, okay, turned on all my apps, canceled that one, or unassigned, and moved on. Let's see. I could have called DoorDash and said, hey, I got this order, blah. Oh, actually, I did do that. That's right. I did call them. But I have my other apps already up, and I was already trolling again for other apps. But with that DoorDash order, they usually tend to give you half pay or better. So I only spent 10 minutes on that order. They gave me $4. So that was, $4 for 10 minutes. That's $24 an hour. That's not bad, even though it was very short duration. So DoorDash, I give you props for giving us some pay when we spend our time on an order, even if that order can't be completed. Grubhub does too, but they only give you like $1 or $2. Whereas DoorDash will give you full half pay. Full half pay, if that makes sense. All right, so that was basically where all of our waste was. again, just looking at it, it's trolling. It's a little bit of time waiting, a little bit of time with failed orders, but altogether, 3 hours of trolling and half an hour waiting, half an hour failed orders. Really, the biggest problem is trolling, not getting enough orders in. Tomorrow we'll go over some changes I made to my order acceptance criteria and how that affected my my trolling time and my overall pay. Here's a little section I go over offer quality. This is where I have these green and yellow orders, and there's also red. Purple is a failed order. Red is just a really bad order. Red is $15 and under, or actually $17 and under. Yellow is 17 to 19, I guess, in terms of dollars per hour. Green is anything above $20, so 20 and up. You can see for these here, I'm making $23 an hour, $22 an hour, $24 an hour, $26 an hour, with no trolling time in between. These are golden. These are late at night. I really like late at night. That's when I tend to get sometimes smaller orders, but if you can get them back to back like this, you're making above $20 an hour for a good period of time. So you can see here, where is it? Total offers were 24, not total deliveries, but total offers were 24. Good ones were 19, not good, meaning $17 to $19 an hour. Or two of them. Didn't get any bad ones, which are 16 and below. Failed. There were 3 failed orders. One of those I still got paid on decently enough, but most of my orders were pretty decent, and I still only made $18 an hour. But that's really because of all the trolling time. 3 hours. Okay, so on tomorrow's video, if I'm able to make one tomorrow, I might just do this every other day if I'm not able to, time-wise. But I made a change. I started accepting slightly lower orders because I found that if you see this, the estimated wage was $17 an hour, but I wanted to make it 38. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was 17 minutes. The estimated wage was $32 an hour. I made $38 an hour. The estimated wage here was $20 an hour. I made $24 an hour. The estimated wage here was $34. I made $27, so that went down. But oh, that's not right. The estimated wage here was $24. I made $24. The estimated wage here was $40 an hour. This was a nice long one too, for 26 minutes, and I made $45 an hour for that period of time. So I tend to make more than what the app estimates for me, and so I use that to say, okay, well then I can take things that from what they're showing me look like they wouldn't be that good, and I can make them good because that just tends to be what happens. So we'll see tomorrow how that turned out. All right, that's order quality. Theoretical limit, I like this one. Basically, if I were to make the same amount of money but remove all the waste, how much would I have made over a 15-hour workday? So I made $215 over $11.42, but if we see the waste was 3 hours and 59 minutes, basically 4 hours. If we remove that from the time that we were out, we would have made that money in 7 hours and 43 minutes. Would have made $28 an hour. Now, if I would have worked a full 15 hours normally with the wage that I had, I would have made about $276. But the theoretical limit of that day was $418. Basically, if we made the same amount of money but removed all the waste and scaled that to 15 hours, we would have made $418. That's almost not quite twice as much, but it's a fair amount, maybe 60% more, 70% more, something like that. So how much is that? Well, that was a difference of $142 just for that day. If you buy $1 tacos, it's 14 days worth of food just for that one day. It's a lot of tacos. If you were to look at home buying, get a first-time home buyer loan, 3.5%. That $142 over the year scales to about $50,000 extra. That's a lot of money. And if that were 50,000, let's see, I don't remember. 142. Now, I work 7 days a week, except for the rare occasion where I just need a day to sleep. But 365, 51,000. Now divide that by 0.025. Yeah, I got that right. I did something wrong in there. Oh, I guess I did it a little different, but anyways. If you are able to make that extra money, $142 over the whole year, and use that money as a down payment, you could buy a $1.4 million house with that, if you're able to get a 3.5% loan as a first-time home buyer. Again, the reason why I go over this is because, you know, if you can remove some of the waste from whatever work process you're working on, you can, you know, over time, that can really turn out to be a lot of extra money in your pocket. And I think it's good to visualize that. Anyways, that's it. That's today's video. We had about 30% waste in our process, or 25. I think it was 4 hours altogether out of almost 12. So about 25% waste in our process. I'm not thinking. About 33% waste in our process, 1/3. And that represented a lot of money we left on the table by having an inefficient process. So we are going to continue reviewing these numbers, and we are going to continue finding solutions for the problems that are causing the waste. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.